Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and this is a breakdown of The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 7, Chapter 15, The Believer. An episode that makes a true believer out of Bill Burr as they murder freedom fighters just trying to keep the Empire from blowing up more people. As always, there were a ton of interesting details and Star Wars Easter eggs hidden in this imagery. I'm gonna break down everything you missed. Here we go. We open on the Carthon chop fields, a scrapyard in which AT-ATs AT-ATs are once again repurposed as cranes as they were on Trask, a detail I love, since the artists working on The Empire Strikes Back base the AT-AT AT-ATs on Oakland port cranes, so they're coming full circle. Now, most of the junk in these yards are TIE fighter parts, which makes it a just punishment for Migs Mayfeld, Bill Burr, a former imp, now having to physically dismantle the hardware of the Empire. Now, a brig vessel floats overhead. This is the same kind that Mayfeld, Mando, and the others infiltrated back in Chapter 6 of last season. The Guard Droid now is similar to that New Republic security droid we saw in that episode. I love how it says,
"You have 3 seconds to comply with your new directive."
To comply, just like RoboCop.
"You have 20 seconds to comply."
Apparently, the New Republic is set up in a way so that a recently appointed Outer Rim local marshal is allowed to show up at any major prison with barely any explanation and remove a prisoner. Yeah, that Imperial officer was not joking when he said the New Republic is a mess. No wonder the First Order got the jump on them. One of the other inmates is a Hassisk race. We actually saw one of these little freaky goblins show up on the New Republic prisoner registry. Might be the same one, because I think if you look at a lot of those pictures, a lot of them seem to line up with those bandits that almost got Mando and Grogu on Tatooine, as well as one of the Aqualish who Cara Dune just booked on Navarro. Boba Fett got himself a nice matte paint job. Notice how his armor bears the sigils of the Mythosaur as it did before, but we can also more clearly now see this Jaster Morel sigil. That is the name I found in the Mandoa chain code last episode, the mentor to Boba's father, Jango. Jango and Jaster were part of the clan called the True Mandalorians. They were actually enemies to the Death Watch, though I guess those rivalries don't really matter anymore because they're all dead. But before we continue, I want to thank Vessi Shoes for sponsoring this breakdown. If you are looking for shoes that look and feel great, keep your feet dry and temperature controlled, and are super comfortable, this is the way. Vessi makes these knit sneakers that are 100% waterproof and weatherproof and way more comfortable than some stiff old winter boot. Not today, boots! Vessi shoes are super stretchy. They fit like a sock. They only weigh 175 grams. That's so light you could practically lift them using just the force, even if you aren't force sensitive. They are made with the space-age Dynamex material, so these shoes you can wear every day in all kinds of weather. Leave them by the door and have one less thing to worry about. They're easy to clean, just rinse with water, toss them in the washing machine. Vessis are also sustainably made with no animal byproducts. Whether I'm stomping through puddles or just diving deep on some Mandalorian Easter eggs, Vessis keep my feet dry and comfy. No, I don't want to lose these. Oh, brother, I got my shoe all wet. What was I thinking, putting these in the pool and losing them? Hey, but you know what? My toes are totally dry right now. There's not a drop of wetness that I can feel on my toesy woesies, and that must be thanks to these knit sneakers from Vessi. Thanks, guys. And they have an incredible early holiday sale offer right now. Don't procrastinate and wait to the last minute to do your holiday shopping. This is the perfect gift for you and your loved ones, especially for the upcoming rainy season. Get them while they still have sizes and you can thank me later. Check them out in the link below. And if you missed the holiday sale, use my code NEWROCKSTARS to get $25 off your Vessi shoes. This episode's title is The Believer, which on one level definitely refers to Din Djarin and Migs Mayfeld's chat in the transport cab. Mayfeld initially drawed a moral equivalence between the Empire and the New Republic. Prodded Mando for sticking to his dogmatic code.
Look, I'm just saying, we're all the same.
But both men changed their beliefs by the episode end. Mayfeld remembers the Imperial war crimes that he was ordered to commit and crimes that took the lives of many of his own fellow Imperial soldiers, memories that clearly scarred him to this day, and he decides the Empire is actually far worse than the New Republic, so blow him up. And then Mando takes a huge step. He lets go of his face covering rule as a last resort because something is more important to him, of course, finding the child. But I actually think the believer of this episode title is that Imperial officer, Val Alan Hess. He is played by awesome character actor Richard Brake, who played Joe Chill in Batman Begins. He was also the Night King in Game of Thrones, just season 3 and 4, before they changed the actor in season 5, and then did all that great stuff with him in season 8. Hess ends as the last true believer of all these characters. He dies for his worldview that the order the Empire brings justifies all their cruel means. And the fact that he's so convinced is terrifying, because there is some truth to his depraved mindset. Yet, this episode tells us that change and growth is how we survive, how we walk away. Meanwhile, staying a stubborn believer leaves you in the dust with a hole in your chest. And then back inside the Slave One, notice how the hull rotates around them. I love this. It accounts for the vessel's segmented design and orientation, like it needs to do this in atmosphere to account for the gravity, though presumably when they enter space, whatever artificial gravity that exists on all Star Wars vessels should keep everything oriented. They head to Morak, where a secret Imperial mining hub collects Rhydonium, a highly volatile explosive. Now, Rhydonium was actually used to kill Fernox on Anaxis and Rebels. You'll remember those Fernox coming back in the recent Bad Batch arc on Clone Wars. Mayfeld says the base is run by XISB. That stands for Imperial Security Bureau. Moff Gideon was ISB. They are kind of the secret police of the Empire. They are the ones who side eye everyone, keep notes, they seek out the disloyalty of the ranks. That explains why Hess was eyeing Mando so closely. Fennec Shand says she's wanted by the ISB, and actually the recent Bad Batch trailer gives us a hint to why she was involved in a little rebellion on Kamino. For all of you asking, yes, I do plan on breaking down that Bad Batch trailer. Just give me some time. Then Mando asks Boba Fett if he wants to go in the base.
Let's just say they might recognize my face.
Yep, that's because Boba Fett is technically a clone who would have the same face as every clone trooper who used to fight for the Empire, so a clone trooper face showing up would definitely raise some red flags. Mando and Mayfeld pull the classic, "I'll disguise ourselves as imps" trick, but finally brings a bit of realism to it.
Oh my god, this guy reeked. His gloves are still wet.
Thank you. Yeah, putting on someone else's armor would probably smell pretty bad, especially if they are working on a steamy jungle planet. Looking at you, Jyn Erso on Scarab, no way that smelled like Old Spice in there. You should have spent that whole third act with a wrinkled nose. The local boy who looks up at him is probably the one who alerted the pirates, little snitch. And those pirates board with thermal detonators. Director Rick Famuyiwa uses this great shot following Mando out the side window and then back in the cab, and then without cutting at all through this, follows him up to the roof of the door. So all in one shot, we get this nice bit of scene geography. We know where everyone is so that when we cut back and forth, we don't get too bewildered. But then when the Rhydonium gets hot, it flashes the word warning. I translate the Orabesh because I love you. I also love how when Mando confronts the pirates, he takes their blows with his imp armor, forgetting he is not wearing Beskar and these blows will hurt. Though he does show off some solid spear throwing skills, telling us that when Mando uses that Beskar spear, Pedro Pascal will be well in control. And they are saved by TIE fighters and stormtroopers with the best aim of any stormtroopers I've ever seen. Since Mayfeld would be recognized by Hess, Mando makes the big move of removing his helmet to scan his Pedro Pascal shaped face. The terminal reads ID scan required, then access granted, and then the menu reads database, equipment, personnel, transport, armory, and S forces. And then Gideon's ship reads lightspeed cruiser, location SEC, maybe for secret or Southeastern Conference. Satan is harboring him. Actually, Star Wars Theory compared this with the actual Star Wars star map to determine that Moff Gideon's ship looks like it's near the crime world of Nar Shaddaa, which also appeared in Force Unleashed, but I wouldn't get too excited yet that Ram Koda could be the Jedi Grogu linked with, just because Force Unleashed I don't think is canon. Really, that ship could also be headed to Kamino, which would make sense with Dr. Pershing's and Gideon's cloning goals with a child. Hess asks for Mando's TK number. That's a designation for all stormtroopers, but Mayfeld covers for him, saying his hearing was damaged at Tanab, nod to the battle Lando mentions in Return of the Jedi.
Someone must have told him about my little maneuver at the Battle of Tanab.
And then he says,
"Come on, let's go fill out those TPS reports so we can go recharge the power cord."
Yeah, TPS reports. This had to be an ad-lib by Bill Burr. TPS reports is a nod to Office Space, the pointless reports that Peter keeps forgetting to fill out.
You apparently didn't put one of the new cover sheets on your TPS report.
But Hess wants a drink.
How about a toast to Operation Cinder?
Operation Cinder, that was the name of the Emperor's post-mortem plan to take down as many planets as possible in the event of his death, using orbital satellites to screw with planetary atmospheric conditions and devastate the surface. Originally, this was brought up in Shattered Empire, but then it was explored much further in the Battlefront 2 game campaign. Mayfeld mentions being ordered to carry out this mission on the planet Burnin Khan, a planet that has shown up in Lando stories, other Star Wars properties, but then Mayfeld shoots Hess, and he and Mando shoot their way out. I love these solid screams the stormtroopers make as they fall to their deaths. It's fun to point out the famous sound effect, the Wilhelm scream in Return of the Jedi. And now it seems like the crew of the Mandalorian is having fun making their own generation of Wilhelm screams. Then Mayfeld blows the Rhydonium, and I gotta say, I really thought that whole dam was gonna go, right? Flood the village, drown that little snitch, fully refuting Mayfeld's come to Jesus transition this episode. But no, it's Disney. Boba Fett eludes the tides by dropping a seismic charge, just like the ones his Papa Django dropped in the asteroid field when pursued by Kenobi in Attack of the Clones. I love how these things sound. And the episode ends with Mando sending Moff Gideon a message with the same exact threatening words that Gideon delivered to him in episode 7 of last season.
You have something I want. You may think you have some idea what you are in possession of, but you do not.
Soon,
In a few moments,
he will be back with me. He means more to me than you will ever know.
Mando must have a pretty good memory. Maybe he wrote these down. Maybe he just records everything. Just interesting how he knew it word for word. It's like he pulled the episode script. Anyway, it has been a busy weekend here at New Rockstars with all the Disney Investor Day news. Be sure to watch all of our breakdowns on this stuff. Check out our great merch options at newrockstarsmerch.com. Subscribe to New Rockstars. Hit that notification button. Follow me, Erik Voss. Follow New Rockstars. Thank you for watching. I have spoken.